On the ones and twos, Catflap chats. Not sure what episode this is going to be, to be honest. Not sure what day of the week it is at the moment. Obviously, being in isolation, but very happy to have a good lad, good tourist on the show today, Mr. Rob Webber. Thanks for coming on, pal.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
How are you, mate? How's isolation? Oh, in fact, have you got a beer? What have you got?
I have a beer, yeah.
What are you drinking?
I'm drinking a Hazy Jane Brewdog New England IPA.
Oh, lovely. I've got one a Heineken, so I'll try and have a beer every episode. Crack open a beer. Thanks for coming. I doff my beer to you. No buffaloes.
Cheers.
Oh, lovely. How is isolation treating you, mate? And what's going on in your world at the moment?
Yeah, it's actually all right so far. Touch wood. We are actually down in Bath. We have a flat here. So once it all started to go into lockdown, we shoot it down here. Yeah. Just because there's a little bit more space here, got a bit of a garden and whatnot. Whereas our place in Manchester, where we're living, is a bit tight. So we shot down here, and it's all right. Really. Like Lauren, my missus, she works from home anyway, so she is doing that as much as she can, and I'm trying to occupy my time with some of my coaching stuff for Jersey that I'm going to be doing once this season officially ends. So there's plenty of stuff going on with in between all that. We're trying to look after the Tasmanian devil that is our daughter. So it's pretty good. It's obviously intense, isn't it? You're on top of everyone the whole time. So we have like some of our friends and that don't have kids and who's working and stuff are like, itching to like go out and see people, whereas I think me and Lauren are both like itching to just go and have some alone time. But no, it's all right, mate. It's a bit of a reality check, isn't it? Like,
of course
it just slows down and it's a bit surreal.
There's bigger things going on in the world. How have you found? I suppose normally I kind of start at the beginning, but I want to start sort of more relevant now. How have you found not having that daily and that weekly sort of routine with rugby? And obviously the season's still supposed to be on at the moment. How are you finding that at the moment, mate?
Yeah, it's a bit weird, isn't it? I think at the moment it just feels a little bit like the off season. Yeah. Like. As if it had finished and we were on that 3 or 4 or 5 week downtime sort of period. Yeah. If it goes on much longer, it might get a bit more interesting. But at the minute, that's how I feel with it anyway. But it's just got all the time in the world, but nowhere to go. Yeah. Nothing to do. So. It's a bit surreal from that point of view, really. You doing all the DIY, getting all the chores done, the garden looking nice? Yeah, we're trying to do a few. Yeah, I don't know. Lauren will say otherwise. I'm reasonably DIY, but I'm not great at it, to be honest. But I'm all right. And what's he saying? He's piping up from the background. Give it a good go. I like a lot of things in life, Cat. It's here and there, trying to chalk a few off, mate.
Good man. So I want to go back to the beginning, mate. Weirdly, I was doing a bit of research. So Pocklington, I actually know that area. Weirdly, one of my mates from Budgie Smugglers plays for Pocklington as a prop. Ewan Walker. Okay. I don't know if you know him. He's got a pub up there somewhere. Talk me through what life was like growing up, pal, up in Yorkshire and up north. What's it like up there, mate?
Well, God's own county, mate. It's pretty special, yeah. It was good. I had quite a fortunate childhood, I guess. Like everything was as you would expect it to be. Yeah. Mother, father, and all that sort of stuff. Brought up in the countryside, really rural upbringing, so didn't really have any neighbours as such or anything. So anything we wanted to do, a parent would have to drive us to it. Yeah. So I was really fortunate that I had understanding parents in that sense. Yeah. Well, my mother really, because dad used to work quite a lot. and as a result of that, me and my brother, I got an older brother, we both played a lot of sports.
Yeah.
Because that was the way to go to things, to do things, to occupy your time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
In that rural setting. I say rural, we're like 25 minutes to the nearest to Pocklington, so we live outside of Pocklington.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was rugby clubs, cricket clubs, football clubs, all of that sort of stuff growing up, really.
Any other sports you were good at as a kid?
I don't know if I was any good, but I was first 11 cricket captain at school. Standard.
Cricket and rugby go hand in hand.
Yeah. Just because you used to play it all day, didn't you? So you didn't have to do any school.
Love that.
But I used to give similar team talks to the cricket as I did to the rugby, so it was pretty intense cricketing team talks. I was a middle order slogger.
Were you? Pinch hitter.
Yeah. Put the biology window through with a lovely cow corner.
I think we've all been guilty of that.
Yeah.
So, when was it for you growing up that rugby was starting to take you over? I seen that you were good at javelin as well.
Yeah, I was quite good at javelin. I was, is it under 15 or something? Like county championship champion at javelin.
Why didn't you carry that on?
Well, it was either in summer it was either athletics or cricket.
Yeah.
So we played cricket, but
cricket's far more fun.
I think I went to like 2 athletics tournaments in my entire school time. Just turned up for one, smashed it, and fucked off.
Classic. When did rugby start becoming? I suppose not a job as such, but a career path for you. When was it sort of growing up?
I signed, I think contract's a bit strong, but an agreement with Leeds Tykes as it was.
Yeah.
When I was 15.
Okay.
Caveat to that is I'm really young for my school year, so it was like, GCSE time, but I was still 15, if that makes sense.
Yeah, got you.
And I guess in and around that, really, I remember we went in and they did a big presentation, and it was in the days of all the academies were just come into play, really funded by the RFU and things like that.
Yeah.
And so they took on 3 or 4 or 5 lads at a time.
Yeah.
At that age, and you're talking. I got like £100 a month travel expenses to go, and it was from Pocklington to Leeds. It was about 45 minutes to an hour drive.
Yeah. Which
my mother had to do to take me twice a week. God bless her. So she would do that, and I'd go there, and that's probably where it took off, really, and that's when I sort of set my sights on it, and rest is history, as they say, I suppose.
What was Leeds like? Because obviously it'd been through a few different incarnations, whether it was Tykes, Carnegie, the university coming and bought half of it at some point. It was Yorkshire.
In my time, it was all just Leeds Tykes.
Yeah.
Its own sort of entity. Well, it still is its own entity, and they were good. They were pretty good at the time. They've been recently promoted into the Premiership.
Yeah.
I think that year they finished 5th, maybe, or 6th.
Yeah, because they got into the Heineken Cup, didn't they?
Yeah, and then the following year they won what was the Power Gen Cup. So they had a decent team, and we had some really good lads coming through, etc. I'm just smiling at my wife's just walked up. She's got a face mask on, so looks alright, Beth.
Tell her to get in the shot.
Yeah, absolutely not. She says. So that was 2004-5, I think, something like that. 5. And it's a mildly interesting story, really. But that was obviously good 15, 16 years ago. And I signed out there from school. So like 17, 18, and I played in the A team, in the A League team.
Yeah.
Guys like Danny Kerr, Jordan Crane, Rob Vickerman, who's been England Sevens captain for a long time.
Yeah.
To name but a few. Played with all those guys, Tom Biggs, etc. And I played a couple of first team games. I remember having to write a letter to the RFU. I could play in the front row.
Yeah.
And we played in what was I think it was the Parker Pen Cup it was called.
Yeah, I remember that.
I played a home game against Worcester and got my head kicked in. And I played an away trip against Valladolid or something from Spain.
Yeah.
And we went there and won 18 or something and had a mega trip. So that was pretty cool. But then what turned out to be the best thing that ever happened, but at the time was sort of heartbreaking, was at the end of that season, the DOR at the time, Phil Davies, said he didn't want to keep me on. So I was like, what do I do now? This is... Because you obviously, I was only like 1 year contracts, and didn't have an agent or anything, just my old man and all that sort of stuff, and it was a bit like, what the hell am I going to do now? And was starting to think about universities and stuff, but slight backstory is that while still at school, I played under 19s with for England with guys like James Haskell and whatnot, and he mentioned me to the Wasps guys at the time, and then when I became available through Leeds not renewing my contract, Wasps said, we'll offer you something. So then aged 18, I think I was still 17 actually when I went down, but I ended up moving to London, so that was a bit of a turn up really, because I'd only really been to London like 3 or 4 times before in my life, if that really, probably to watch England play rugby at Twickenham with my dad or something like that. And then I remember going down on the train, getting a taxi to the academy house, getting dropped off, my dad turning around again, and I didn't see him again for 6 months. It was pretty chucked in at the deep end like that, but that turned out to be the absolute best thing that happened.
Was Gatland there, or was that McGeechan then?
He literally just left as I arrived, so that off-season. Yeah. And it was Geach, so... Unfortunate to me, I went down and met Warren. I keep missing bits out here because I was gonna sign for Wasps straight out of school. Yeah, but I didn't. I signed for Leeds, so I met Warren. He was in charge, but then by the time I'd been to Leeds for a season, he'd then gone. Yeah. And then spent however many seasons there, 7 or 8 seasons there.
And that was when Wasps at the time then were unbelievable, weren't they? Heineken Cups, leagues, and... So
coming through, they just won... I think they won 2 premierships in a row in the Heineken Cup. Yeah. And the season I arrived, they won the premiership. Then we won the Power Gin Cup, or Anglo-Welsh Cup as it was called. Yeah. A couple of years later, they won the Heineken Cup again, and then a couple of years later, they won the Premiership. Yeah. And then it went through a bit of a period of, a bit of a fallow period, really, which was due to like the finances and people retiring and moving and all that sort of stuff. It went through a bit of a hard spell, which is quite well documented. But yeah, it was an unbelievable rugby club to go to. Some of the people that were there and the way it was ran, and you literally really shaped me as the way I see rugby, and I guess as my approach to a lot of things. I went there at like 17, 18 till I was 26, 27. So
yeah, you almost grown up there.
Yeah, my sort of, I guess, formative adult years, for want of a better phrase, were there really amongst some real good people. So I was quite fortunate.
What was that like as 18 years old? You walk in a change room there, you're in the dressing room, and you've got your likes of, Delalios and people like that in there who are legends in their own rights, and that Wasps team obviously so successful. What was that like for you? How do you feel pressure, or do you back yourself and just go, I fit in here?
Well, I definitely wasn't in the same changing room as them. I was down the fucking corridor with all the shit and stuff.
Cold showers.
Yeah. No, mate, it was really good. I remember, because I went there having been basically sacked off by Leeds. Yeah. I'm not one to hold a grudge, but I got it wrong. Beat that out. No, but so I went there and I always felt like I had a bit of a point to prove, I guess. Yeah. So I tried to use that as motivation as much as an 18-year-old guy does. Yeah. Equally, I don't know, really, it's so long ago, but I just wanted to impress them. Do you know what I mean? I was tried really hard because I wanted to play with those people, and back then you weren't separate. Like Wasps had like 5 or 6 guys in the academy, and you all trained full time with the first team. There's no like academy sessions.
Yeah,
it wasn't a different group. You were in the mix. So it was like Haskell, Tom Rees, Tom Evans, Warren Fury, myself. A guy called Garth Chamberlain, maybe 1 or 2 others, and that was it really. So we were all just in there, and the environment of the club. I think culture is a bit of a word that gets branded around too easily, but just the environment or whatever was like they were just so welcoming, and it wasn't really a big deal. You had to earn your stripes and all that sort of stuff, but it was pretty seamless, to be honest.
Was Ibanez there still?
Yeah, so did he come the first year I was there, or maybe the second year I was there he came? I can't quite remember, to be honest, but he was there, he was there for the whole time I was there.
What was it like learning off people like him and obviously Ian McGeechan and people like that? What can they give you that someone else maybe hasn't quite got in them,
Yeah, I think with Rafa Ibanez, he was just supremely, we in no way been arrogant or whatever, but he was so confident in his own ability, that sort of that French sort of swagger about him. But he knew what he was good at, and he, as long as he had, the wherewithal, he was going to put it out there. Yeah, I remember. And he was obviously aggressive and hard and a talented player and all that sort of stuff. But I remember we played the Scarlets away. Actually, I was on the bench. He started, and Matthew Rees was the hooker for the Scarlets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and I'm not particularly sure why, obviously, but like Sean Edwards had built up Matthew Rees as a talisman for the Scarlets all week. Yeah, and after about 20 minutes, he was off. And I was on the bench, and it was a stoppage in play, and Ibanez just sort of jogs over to the dugout and gives it I'm the hardest hooker here, I'm the toughest hooker here, and all this sort of stuff. Not him, because I've just filled him in. So I remember that being he was a bit mental like that, but you learn some of the dark arts. He taught me about scrummaging a little bit, but we were different players as well. He was, we threw differently, we did a lot of stuff differently, but he was fantastic to learn off. There was actually another hooker there who I became really good mates with, a Kiwi guy called Joe Ward.
Okay.
Who actually went to Sale as well before I went there, but I learned a lot off him. He'd come from the Wellington Hurricanes, and he did 5 or 6 years at Wasps, so there was Ibanez, me and him, and obviously Ibanez then retired. It became Joe and me, and then Joe left to Sale, and it was me and some other guys coming through. And I just was always, I remember that time was like the hookers were all really good mates, as well as rivals, which I thought was absolutely fantastic, because it can get a bit, sometimes it can be a weird niggle, can't it, between people in the same position, and
it can get a bit fruity.
Yeah, which I get, but equally you're all going to play and stuff, aren't you? So I was just lucky that those guys were there at that time, and all had different strengths. What Ibanez had to what Joe Ward had to myself, and we all kind of tried to work together, I think. Yeah.
What I read, again, in my little bit of research, you a bit of a back rower as well. Is that true?
Not by choice, no. So what happened there was, it would have been pre-season 2007 Rugby World Cup season. We're doing pre-season, and I was a hooker. I've always been a hooker, like never done anything else. And so I remember my second or third season at Wasps, and it's 2007 World Cup, and Wasps have lost Tom Rees, Johnny O'Connor, who's gone up to Ireland, Joe Worsley, Delalio, I don't know, a couple of other back rowers and back five players of the scrum anyway. Yeah. And he gets about 2 weeks out from the London double header. And And Sean Edwards just comes to me in his enigmatic way and goes, "Oh, by the way, you're playing open side on next Saturday. Get your head round it by." So I was like, "Okay, champion." So for the length of that World Cup, I played open side.
Yeah.
And then when that World Cup finished, a couple of lads came back with injuries. I think I played all right there.
Yeah.
And I think like Rafa would have been playing well at hooker, and they had Joe Ward, and I think Tom Rees did his shoulder and whatever. Do you know what I mean? I ended up just playing most of the season there.
Yeah.
Which I loved. It was fantastic.
Yeah. Did you get a bit more freedom?
100% easier than hooker.
Is it?
100%. Anyone who tells you different, lying.
Who else did it?
You don't have to push. You don't get your spine absolutely mangled. You put your head into a few breakdowns, get a turnover, everyone thinks you're a world beater.
Didn't who was it? Steve Thompson. He played 6 for a bit, didn't he? When he was playing, was he at Northampton? He went from 2 to 6.
He was at Northampton. Yeah, I think he maybe did actually. Now you mention it. Yeah,
I'm sure he did. I'm sure he did it in an England game when someone got injured as well. I can't remember now.
Yeah,
because he just got a barrel with a bit of an engine on him.
Yeah, a little trivia question for you. So I hurt my shoulder playing for England, and that was at the back row. So I came on for England at 6.
Yeah.
About 10 minutes to go against France, and then subsequently ruptured my entire shoulder and had to have 10 months off. But that's by the by.
But it's still easier than playing hooker.
Yeah, still easier, mate.
Or so what was that? 2007, 2008. What was your? Tell me about your sevens career, pal. Your England sevens career.
Yeah, so I'm a man of many talents, Mikey, as you know. So I was playing for Wasps. I played back row the year before.
Yeah.
7-8 season, is it, or whichever way round it went. 7-8 season, and the back end of that season, I got selected to go on the Churchill Cup.
Yeah.
As it was the England Saxons tour to North America. As a hooker, not as a back row.
Yeah.
So, and it was sort of told to me at the time that you're going to go and learn off the hookers that are there. On the tour, I think it was George Shooter and Andy Titterell.
Yeah, I remember.
They were picked, and I was sort of that third choice player, and it was like go and learn. And they were flying out whatever time, and in between that time there was a couple of sevens tournaments in the series.
Yeah.
And I just got, I don't really know how it worked, but I got roped in, and I went to a training camp, and I thought I was a bit lighter than I was then than I was now. Hasty twad. I've always had the skill.
Always. You're a 10 trapped in a front row's body, pal.
Absolutely. Went down and did a training camp. So it was the training camp at the Lensbury Hotel in London, Teddington, for those that know it. I'm trying to think who else was there. So it was Ben Ryan was the England coach.
Yeah.
And Russell Earnshaw was the forwards sort of coach. And there was guys like Ben Foden was there, Lee Dixon, Tom Biggs, Mickey Young.
Yeah.
A couple of guys, and then guys like James Rodwell, Chris Cracknell, that went on to be Seven superstars when it went sort of more mainstream, or even more mainstream than then. And mate, I just literally got in there, went all right in the camp, and then to my surprise, to be fair, got selected for the London tournament.
Yeah.
In the 10-man squad, and then started every game of the tournament. Finished the tournament, then flew to Canada for the Churchill Cup.
Class. They could have picked a better tournament, Dubai or Hong Kong, mate.
I know. I was absolutely gutted by that, but it was obviously the timing of it didn't work. But man, it was probably involved with it for 3 weeks, so it wasn't exactly like a career. But 2 sort of training camps and then a tournament, and honestly, it was superb. It was so much fun. And obviously, so unexpected. So. I remember thinking, just don't mess this up too badly. I really enjoyed it. We got to the final of the tournament. We lost in the final, unfortunately, to Samoa. We played Samoa, New Zealand, France. I think we played. So we played some class teams.
Yeah, how do you find the set that going to that sevens, even if it was just for sort of 3 weeks? How do you find the training and that difference in training compared to what you'd been used to, especially sort of in the forwards in Union and 15s?
Yeah, it was obviously hugely different, isn't it? And I think there's quite a common theme or common knowledge that they say that sort of sevens isolates your sort of skills, and it's 100% true, because you just expose so much. I remember we did one drill, and I don't know if this is something they do still or whatever. It's obviously a long time ago, but basically you and the ball, you the defender, stood underneath the posts, and another player stood on the halfway line centre spot. You basically had to kick in the ball, and it was 1-on-1 in the whole pitch. I think I just got paired with, I don't know who I got paired with, but they just got the ball, just jogged to the corner flag. It's gone. So that was it. And then when it was
waving at him.
Attack, I just literally ran as straight and as hard as I could.
Both sit down
immediately and looked stupid. It was a bit of a shambles.
How was that tour to was it America or Canada, you said, for the 2008 Churchill Cup?
I did a couple of Churchill Cups, so that first one there when I went and didn't really play was pretty loose. That was back in the day when it was
smartphone videos weren't around, was it?
Well, none of that sort of stuff, no, but it was just a bit, England they were always going to win, I think. It was because of the resources we had and stuff like that. We were sort of playing, America's second team, Canada's second team, Argentina's second team at the time. So the rugby was pretty comfortable, so it made it a pretty fun tour. But then subsequently, the years after that tournament became a lot harder. Those teams started to send their better players to that tournament as for whatever reason, but they did. And it became quite a bit tougher. So, but yeah, they were a great couple of tours, those ones there. So,
what was that like when you first sang the anthem? Do you get emotional about stuff like that, or do you? Is it just sort of stored and you save that for another time?
Yeah, no, I don't think I get particularly emotional with it. I'm appreciative of it.
Yeah,
that it's a brilliant thing to do. But I'm not one that will be stood there with tears rolling down my face or anything. But I just try and take, I just remember trying to take it all in, things like that, and embrace it. And it's a powerful moment, but it's I suppose it is emotional, but not outwardly. So it's just take it in and enjoy it.
Do you feel pressure? Do you ever feel pressure for either the big games, whether it is your Heineken Cups with Wasps or Bath or whoever, or England? Do you feel pressure before going out at all?
Yeah, I don't know really. I think I'm either lucky, fortunate, or unfortunate, whichever way you look at it. This is all I've always done. That's all I've ever done since that 16, 17 age. So it always felt natural. That's what I'd always wanted to do, was play in those bigger games and play Heineken Cup games and play for England and whatever. So the pressure was always on. Yeah, there's always pressure, obviously, but it was more on me trying to be successful rather than a feeling of pressure for a greater good or some outward pressure. It was more, obviously that was there, but it's hard to articulate, but I sort of knew that was there, and that just was part of it. That's part of being a professional rugby player at the elite level, playing for your country or playing for Sale, Bath or Wasps in the Heineken Cup, and that's what it's about. So once you deal with that and accept that it's there, you can then move to just enjoying the moment and the pressure of trying to play well and doing that internally rather than any external factors.
Talk to me about your when your first cap. Could you play against the Maori before you actually got capped?
Yeah, so played 2010, went on tour with England to Australia and New Zealand. Yeah. Well, it was actually Australia. It was a 2-test tour to Australia, and then at the end of the and midweek games against Australian Barbarians, And then at the end of it, there was a game against New Zealand Maori. So I played against Australia Barbarians and New Zealand Maori. Didn't get capped on that tour.
Yeah. What was that like? What's the step up like? Because I wouldn't have a fucking clue. I've never played any decent level, but what's the step up like because you keep stepping up in levels here, where you're going from say Leeds to Wasps, and then from Saxons to England proper.
I just remember that New Zealand Maori game. We were in it, and I felt like we were in it for a long time. The game. But then the score was like 40 points to 10. I was like, how's that happened? And it's like, I think they had it was either Rico or Jose Gear on the wing. A couple of chances and boom, he scored like 4 tries or something in like 5 minutes. Yeah. So, and that's what the difference is, just like how quickly it can change. Yeah. So that was probably the realisation from that. It's just the speed of which stuff happens, I think. It's just the speed of things. Speed of thought more than anything. Yeah. And things happen so quickly.
It was... talk to me about your England career then. So you debut, was it Italy, 2012?
Yeah. So...
Had you signed for Bath then? Or did you sign for Bath after that?
I think I signed for Bath in the middle of that sort of Six Nations... campaign, which would have been obviously February, March time.
What was how come you signed? How come you moved across to Bath? What was that about?
Well, it was just. Excuse me. So, if as I sort of alluded to earlier, Wasps was going through that sort of difficult financial time. Yeah. And there was all talk of administration and things like that, and I had a conversation with Di Young, who had just come in as the DOR this beginning of that season. I was out of contract, and I said, I've been captain in Wasps that time, and I stand by the fact that I absolutely love Wasps as an organisation, and I, to some degree, see them as my club in terms of I've got a real identity with them. But I remember going to him about, what's the crack? Like, basically, what's happening? Is there still going to be a London Wasps, as they were called then, tomorrow or next month? Yeah. And he said to me, "Look, if you've got a really strong deal to go somewhere else, you should probably take it." I was 25 or 26. I'd just been capped for England. Yeah. I needed felt like I needed some security. Yeah. And I needed to be playing in a good, strong team, and I felt that Wasps had dropped off in their recruitment and the level we were operating at pretty significantly from 2 years previously, and that's why I chose to go to Bath at the time, where sort of a couple of years into their revolution under Bruce Craig and whatnot, and their journey they're trying to go on, and it fit. So and I also had a little bit of a desire to play for a team that was a town team, like a Bath or a Northampton, Gloucester maybe. So it fit really. So I decided to go for it.
You mentioned then about the captaincy thing. Was Tom Rees captain at Wasps? And then you took over when he got injured, is that right?
Yeah, so he was captain, my flatmate actually.
Yeah. He was class, but obviously just injury after injury, wasn't he?
No, he was unbelievable, mate. Yeah, he's a bit of a forgotten man, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's currently on the front line fighting corona as a doctor at the moment.
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, fair play.
Doctor now. Oh, he's a few months, I think, away from being fully go by yourself qualified doctor. Yeah. But he's doing his bit, I think. I have a brief text. If you text him, he's so busy. If you text him, he replies a good 3 to 4 months later, which is absolutely shit with any gags, or any kind of admin. But, what was the question? So he basically took over from.
Was it been Delalio?
Delalio was captain, and then there was our other number 8 at the time, a guy called John Hart, who played about 1,000 games for Wasps. Yeah. He became captain, and then when he moved on, Tom Rees became captain. I think that's how it happened. And then when Tom was named captain, myself and Don Waldock, centre, were sort of named the vice captains or whatever. And when Tom unfortunately got injured, I just ended up doing a few games. I think Dom did a few. Probably a couple of other people did a few.
Yeah. What sort of captain were you, pal?
No, I don't know. I like to think. I've always like to think I try hard. I don't know. Quite vocal, I think. Yeah. I've always been concerned about other people doing their job properly. Sometimes at the detriment of myself doing my own properly, I think.
I'll give you that. I've been on a couple of tours with you, and I will say you run a tight ship, mate. I'll give you that.
Yeah, I do run a tight ship, Catflap. Yeah, mate, I do run a tight ship, you'll know that. If ever there's a whip to be collected, I'm your man.
You can have that one.
Not very good not a very useful skill pre-game, but
no.
Post-match is decent. So that's pretty good. I don't know, like I was young at the time. I would have been 24, 25, 26. So I was still young in my journey, and I think I had some really good players around me, some older guys around me helping me as well. I remember we went down to Exeter and we'd not beaten them or something, and we went down there and I thought I'm going to give a really good speech here, so I planned what I was going to say in the locker room beforehand and got all revved up and got so revved up. I went to say something like, we've got to be like effing as physical as possible, from minute 1 to minute 80 in the whole game. But I got so excited, I came out and I said, we've got to be physical from minute 1 to minute 2. And all these older boys just looked at me, rolled their eyes, like, for fuck's sake.
You fucking knob.
Yeah, what a knob. And then we lost again, we got pumped basically. And I remember Tim Payne walking off, who was pretty savage with his banishment. Like, well, we were fucking good for 2 minutes. So that was a pre-game low.
You can only go up from there, pal.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I've just always been. I think I've been quite vocal, probably too much sometimes, and just quite passionate about it, really.
Yeah.
Bit of a rugby nose at heart, so that probably comes out.
Yeah. Talk to me about your England career, mate. So it was 16 caps. Tell me highs, lows, what you loved, what you didn't love.
Well, tough one really. I think obviously I love playing for England, like the pinnacle. I fortunate enough or unfortunate enough of those 16 caps, I think 5 or 6 of them were coming against New Zealand, so that was 5 or 6 dickens.
Do you know what your win-loss ratio is?
Probably not very good.
Yeah, 50-50, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, 8 and 8.
Not too bad.
You take that.
So it was a bit stop-start really. I always felt it was a bit stop-start. So I went on that 2010 tour as like 4th choice hooker, I guess. Played the midweek games as a young lad, and then that was a summer tour. The next season started, and I managed to rupture both my biceps in that year. So that was
nasty.
Not at the same time, that would have been comical, but did one 3 or 4 months out, came back 2 or 3 games, did the other one.
Yeah.
That was a chunk of time. Obviously, in which time other people are playing really well and getting their shot.
Yeah.
Obviously, the way it goes. And then 2012, got back in the Six Nations squad that was named and played the first 4 games, and then as I said, in the last minute of that 4th game of France away, did my shoulder, playing flanker. So then that was another, and then that actually had a bit of trouble with that injury. So it was a 4-month injury, but it happened in the March. So it sort of overran into an off season. Yeah. And then in the off season, I moved to Bath and started at Bath. So I had a whole pre-season of trying to still rehab the shoulder, and it got to probably September of that start of that season, and it still wasn't right, and ended up doing loads of stuff with it, and we realised that the surgery and the repair hadn't worked, so it had to be done again.
Yeah.
But that took me to February, so I didn't really play for a whole calendar year.
Yeah.
Didn't miss that much rugby because it was over an off-season and a pre-season a lot of the time, but other people are going on summer tours and stuff like that, so then came back from that and managed to sort of get back in the mixer a little bit for whatever reason, and had some great times. I went on Argentina tour, New Zealand tour, which I loved, and another Six Nations or whatever, and then the Rugby World Cup, and then that was me done really. So the Rugby World Cup, the shambles that was the 2015, and then as soon as Eddie Jones came in, mate, I was obsolete. So
did you? Why did 2015 go so badly? I've heard you listen to a few people's opinions, and some people, some ex-players, whatever, like we were prepared, it just didn't happen. Others were like it was a fucking shambles. What happened?
Yeah, I say shambles. I think it's shambles because of the outcome.
Yeah.
And the aftermath and the fallout.
Yeah.
At the time, I felt we prepared pretty well.
Yeah.
Looking back now, 5 years later down the line, and probably understanding rugby and coaching more, there's probably a few things I would have done differently. But I think we were prepared well. And if you look at some of the games, like what were the Wales game, for example? Well, what was the score at half time? Or 60 minutes in, we were well up, and just error after error and decision, and it all went unravelled, and Wales ended up winning the game.
Yeah.
Good night, Vienna. I think that's the thing, the beauty or the curse of sport, really, that like microscopic, I'm trying to say, incidents or strong stuff. Incidents in the game can have such wide-reaching effects.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And ultimately cost a lot of people the job, which is really sad. So,
what was Lancaster like? I listened to him. I listened to something the other day about him talking, and he is articulate and a student of the game.
Yeah.
Did you know him from Leeds?
Yeah. So he was the academy manager at Leeds when I went there.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I have quite a good relationship with Stuart. I've got a lot of time for him. I think he's very, very good at what he does. I think he's found his. I think one of the things that came out of the World Cup that was a good thing was Stuart realising that he was a rugby coach, and not necessarily a rugby manager
or director of rugby or whatever.
Well, I mean, he might be now because we're further down the line, but at the time, and I've seen by his influence he's had at Leinster, where he's by all accounts regarded as an absolute champion. By their players, and they're obviously world class players in there. So. I think he just took on too much in that role. Yeah. He would be, and I don't know what Eddie Jones does day to day as such, but he'd be on field in the tracksuit, he'd be in the suit shortly after, back in the tracksuit, talking to the media, trying to stir up the grassroots level of the game. Yeah. Doing community stuff, like talking to the boards and the RFUs and all that sort of stuff, going around all the clubs, like just doing everything. And I think as now Leinster shows, his strength is he's coaching rugby, not admin in rugby. So that's probably one thing that I think he would change. I don't know. Hopefully he doesn't think I speak out of turn there, but he's a good man, like very honest, got great integrity. Trustworthy, all those sorts of good characteristics. Yeah, so he's a solid bloke.
Do you look back on your England career with fondness or any, not regrets, probably the wrong word, but is there anything lingering there at all?
Yeah, a little bit. I think there is a little bit lingering, if I'm honest with you. I feel I probably underachieved in an England shirt. Don't feel I got as many caps as I should have done, or could have done. I would have liked to have done.
Yeah.
But Ultimately fondness, mate. Ultimately fondness. I'm, really proud of it and all that sort of stuff. But I do feel, I could have gotten more. I think the games. So the majority of my games would have been off the bench for England as well.
Yeah.
I would love to have got some more starts in there, like the games that I did start, such as when we went on tour to New Zealand. I played pretty well.
Yeah.
And I always felt a little bit like when I played well, it was like the coaches were like, oh, that was all right, like, well done.
Yeah.
I am an all right player. Do you know, do you know what I mean? But that's just probably been a bit precious about it. But no, look, ultimately proud. But ultimately, I do think I could have picked up a little bit more, a few more caps.
Yeah.
But then it's people's opinion, isn't it? And I was having this conversation the other week actually with someone, and I said I always thought that Graham Rowntree wasn't my biggest fan. He was the forward coach at the time.
Yeah.
But then he was picking me, so I'm all the hookers in England, so I was in the squad. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
he must have been a fan. He was much more of a fan of me than Eddie Jones and his coaching staff, because
they didn't obviously.
I've not had like any sniff whatsoever since that last game, that 2015 World Cup. In actual fact, he was.
Did you have any conversations with Eddie Jones or that post-15 management at all? Or?
No, not one. No.
Just that was it.
That's just the nature of it, I guess. He's pretty ruthless.
That's properly ruthless. You've just done it. I would have thought, as an outsider looking in, World Cup, right? Next campaign, at least chat to a few people who are still obviously playing at that level. And
and the thing for me is I feel I've played pretty good rugby whilst I've been at Sale as well. So but not so much now. It has moved on a little bit, but certainly those first couple of years. But look, it is what it is. I've got no problem with it, to be honest. Like it would have been nice to get a message just to say thanks, but you're no longer required. But equally, they don't have to do that.
Did you officially retire from England, or is it just a case of if I'm picked?
Phone's still on, mate. Phone's still on.
I seen something the other day, and it was Will Greenwood actually, and he'd a couple of weeks. 2 posts I think it was, maybe 3-4 weeks apart, and it was something like every team needs Rob Webber, mate, and even at 33 he could still do a job at that international level.
There was look, I'm happy with my career now. I'm really proud of it. I've given it a good kick of the ball. I've had a few injuries, but haven't we all? It's part of it. I think I'm going to retire. I am retiring, and I think when I retire, I'll be something like the third highest capped ever Premiership hooker. So I'm pretty chuffed for that.
Yeah.
I'll give it a good crack. I think I've been a good teammate for a lot of people. I think anyway.
Yeah.
And made some mega mates. So that's massively what it's all about. And I've certainly enjoyed the whole ride.
Class. What did we haven't really touched on sort of Bath or Sale yet. What did Bath give you that was maybe slightly different to Wasps, and how was that enjoyable? I loved, obviously that's where I met you, down at Bath, and I've got mates down there and stuff. I love the whole atmosphere down there, the fact it is in the middle of the town and it is a rugby mad town.
Yeah, it is rugby mad, yeah. And as I alluded to earlier, that was one of the reasons I wanted to come here. I think, what did Bath give me? I think at that time I was just... It gave me a different outlook. Probably the level of professionalism here was, at that time, was more than I've been used to.
Yeah.
The level of detail. Not to say the coaching was better, because obviously there were some fantastic coaches at Wasps, but it was just different. It was probably coincided with a bit of a time in rugby where analysis went through the roof and we all had iPads and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the level of detail and the demand on you away from the rugby pitch was quite significant.
Yeah.
Coupled with, at that time, some pretty significant law changes around scrummaging and stuff, and which we benefited from, recognised the changes quite early under Neil Hatley, which was fantastic, meant that we were good in that area. And then we sort of, every team does it now, don't they? But like this the attacking shape and structure, whatever you want to call it, framework of being able to hit forwards and forwards suddenly passing out the back to a back, like
that rugby league sort of attack shape.
Under Mike Ford's influence, and I'd never really seen that before. And I think we were probably one of the first teams to start doing it in the Premiership.
Yeah.
And we'd go up to Wigan and train with Wigan Rugby League and practice it and do it and stuff. And that was wasn't revolutionary, I don't think, but because it's all organic, isn't it? It just happens week after week and session after session, and it grows. But if you look back on it, that was a pretty significant season. You know, that sort of 14, 15, 13, 14, 14, 15 season when we started playing like that, and then ultimately got to the Prem final, and we lost, obviously, but we were playing Sarries, so most people did. Just a little jab there, I love Sarries.
Won't go into why they might have won, it's fine.
Yeah. No, they were class, beat us fair and square.
Yeah.
And that was probably, just that level of detail of it, and was pretty exceptional. Living in Bath was brilliant, but also that was good and bad. Like, we loved it. I'm sat in Bath now. Like, obviously still love the town.
Yeah.
But in that playing time, it was sometimes quite claustrophobic as well.
Yeah, you can't escape, can you? It is quite small.
And it kind of came to a natural end, and I was looking for something else to do and somewhere else to go, and Steve Diamond popped up.
Did you want to go back up north and be a bit closer to the family?
No, not necessarily, mate. I was actually looking to maybe try and do something abroad.
Okay.
Or go to France, and I got quite far down the line with Grenoble, but in typical French fashion, just prior to signing a contract, they changed their mind. Fuckers. So that was on the cards. A couple of other places, maybe, but Sale just seemed like a good fit, really. You know, won't lie, it was good money.
Yeah.
As well, at that sort of that stage, it was a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
I was going to go there and be first choice and play, which I wanted to do. I've always been, it sounds stupid probably, but I've always been a rugby player. If I'm not playing, I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Whereas some lads maybe are happy training and gymming and stuff, I'm probably not in that category. But yeah, so then up to Sale, and 100 and whatever games later for Sale.
Yeah.
In 4 seasons has been pretty full on.
What's Steve Diamond like? Because again, you read, and I'm not one to take what goes in the press as gospel, but obviously you read a few things, you hear a few things. What's he like as a bloke?
No, I think Dimes is probably quite misunderstood in the press, and probably some of it's of his own doing, where he tries to create a bit of a persona, maybe. But
yeah,
if you play for Steve Diamond and you work hard for Steve Diamond, he's a great boss to have.
Yeah.
I've never been at a club that gets more time off than Sale. We're off more than we train. He looks after the boys. He understands. I think his greatest strength is being able to understand how a gang of lads work together.
Yeah.
And all that sort of stuff. He's got good rugby coaches around him that can make it tick from an actual 9 to 5 rugby perspective.
Yeah.
Steve, some of the cliches are true. He's a bit of a wheeler dealer and got an eye for a bargain, and all that sort of stuff. But equally, he looks after us really well. So as I said, at the time off, and I've had a couple of things since I've been there where I've needed some assistance and some time off or whatever, and he's been 100%, just do what you got to do and look after you and all that sort of stuff. So he's a guy that I'd rather have on my side than not, put it that way.
What's it like having that massive South African influence up there? Obviously, it's hopefully the season might get finished, but if it doesn't, what have they brought to the table? Because obviously there's quite a few up there in Sale.
Well, the schedule was changed a bit because now Monday we have like scrums and line-outs followed by Afrikaans class, followed by Dutch. No, so they're all good blokes, aren't they? And I think again, going back to Steve, that's what he's done there. He's gone out with a policy of bringing in South African lads, and you'd have to ask him more than me what's led him down that path as harshly as he's gone down it.
Yeah.
But what he has also done is recruit good people, not just good players.
Yeah,
I think that's been quite high on his agenda.
Yeah.
Probably similar to like what Saracens did. And again, Steve, I don't think Steve Diamond is not afraid of copying someone that's had success. Like why not?
Yeah.
So that's to answer your original question. They've all come in and been really good people and really good guys first and foremost. And within them, you've got a bit of a mix as well, because some of them are very Afrikaan. Some of them are very or are more sort of English South Africans, if that makes sense.
More westernised.
Yeah, that sort of. So like Faf, for example, like English is his second language.
Yeah.
Whereas like John O'Ross is English is his first language. I think. So, there's a good blend amongst them, you know. So you do have to remind them all to every now and again speak English. Me and a few of the lads, James Phillips and that, like to be the English police, make sure they're speaking English, but in their groups. But like, they're all sound, mate. They're class, aren't they? What they've brought us probably on the pitch is just quality, you know. They could have all been New Zealand, they could have all been French, they could have all been whatever, but Sale have come into more money under the new owners. They've gone out and bought better players who happen to be South African, and now we're a better team. Like, it's not rocket science as far as I can tell. Like, unfortunately, or fortunately for those that have it, money talks, and Sale are now spending up to the salary cap and whatever, whereas before they weren't, and now they've got a better team. So, like, you do the maths.
I was about to say, it's not rocket science, is it? Who is a couple of nosy sort of rugby questions, I suppose. Just I ask most people. If you were going to go into battle, who's the one guy you've played with that you would take with you?
It's a battle.
If you were going out against South Africa world champions now, you're going out against them, or you're going out against the Heineken Cup champions or whatever. You're going to take one player with you that you've played with through your career. Who would it be?
Oh, right. There's probably several people that would go on that
list. Well, give me a couple then, if it's not just one.
I'll try and do one from each team.
All right.
So, I'd take John O'Ross.
Yeah.
I think he's a tough man. Not the biggest, definitely not the strongest, weak as piss, but he's tough. Yeah. Tough as boots, mate. He will, if you run at him, he will whack you every single time.
Love that.
So he's tough, mate. I take him.
Yeah.
From Bath, I take Paul James.
Oh yeah, Assy
boy. What character he is, fuck me.
Well, I've seen a couple of videos from a bus, which I won't go into now, but
does it involve a certain tall friend of ours?
It does involve a tall mutual friend, and they're very funny.
Yeah. Okay, well, I remember the first session at Bath. We were doing lineouts or whatever, and I'm throwing in, and he's like front prop, you know. So he sets the mark, and he's wading in and going line out on me, sort of thing. And I'm being that typical obnoxious hooker, being like, get left of the mark, get right of the mark, you know what I mean? Saying all that shit. I've known the guy like 3 hours or something. And I said, lads, just get lined up on Paul, will you? His name's Paul James. So just get lined up on Paul. Mate, he turns around with a face like thunder, literally charges over to me and he says, if you fucking call me Paul one more time, I'm going to fucking knock you out. That's my Welsh accent, by the way. And then he's like, my nickname is Assy, and like shows me it tattooed all the way down his arm, like he's got. I'm just like, why the fuck you called Assy? He's like, because I got a fat ass. I'm just like, okay.
Just clean off.
Yeah, fucking clean off, mate. Literally nearly decapitating me. Calling him his name.
So you take him in with you. So you've got basically you've gone for two really hard blokes.
Yeah. And then, I don't know, probably third one, I'd have to take the Laleo, mate, just for the rev up before the game and a bit of emotion into it, I suppose.
Was he that good?
Yeah, he was class, wasn't he? He's just such an icon of the game, as you said before. And Lawrence, I think, was perfectly suited for the era of rugby he played.
Yeah,
where it was from that sort of early professional age into professional age, and where I think guys made, it went professional and they flourished under it, and his time and Wasps at that time from probably 2000 to 2005 made massive gains in things like S&C and stuff under Gatland and Craig White and Paul Stridgen and all that, and he just flourished in that environment massively, and as well as been a pretty handy player. So I'd probably take him.
That's not bad.
Isn't it? If we're going to war, I'd probably take Rocco as well, Rocco and Dungy, because he can drive the tank. Which is actually his job, I think.
As I say, that's actually what he gets paid to do outside of rugby.
Yeah.
Class. It's not bad. Not bad. 4 players there. What's are you? I mean, you're not as active, obviously, as some on social media. When you look at, especially some of the younger guys coming through now, and you haven't. You look at someone maybe like Cipriani, who's been in and out of the press for millions of different things. He's just a bloke at the end of the day. Have you ever had much sort of trolling or like social media sort of people coming at you? And if you have, how have you ever sort of dealt with that? Do you take it to heart, or do you laugh it off? Do you bite back? Like, how do you deal with that?
I've had a bit, mate, I suppose. So you just have to be thick-skinned, I think, for it, to be honest. I think it's a sensitive subject, isn't it? And about what you say and you don't say about things like this. But I've had people dig me out on Twitter for all kinds of reasons, performance-related and otherwise. I've had some things that made it into the press and social media that were my own doing, errors in life, and then you suffer people's opinion on that. And I do think social media is a dangerous thing, and without getting too profound, I do worry about it going forward for the future. And my daughter, for example, who's she's only just 3, but what it's going to be, because you just open yourself up to a load of people who you would otherwise never meet, and would not have a voice on your radar at all. But then if you're not prepared to open yourself up to those people, why would you go on there to voice your own opinion?
Yeah, of course.
And then want the gratification of them following you, or whatever it may be. So I do think it's a real
minefield.
Real minefield, quite a profound subject, really. But it's obviously the modern world and the way of it.
Yeah.
I'm not particularly active on it, mate, but I don't really do a lot of fun stuff anymore. So.
Just waiting for the next stag.
Yeah.
Talk.
Social media heavy in and around stags.
Talking of fun stuff, mate. Talk me through the first time Lauren came to Bath. I heard an interesting story.
Where have you heard this from?
Mate, look, you know what I'm like. I'm a man of the people, pal.
Don David stinking ships again.
No, mate.
I think Lauren, for those, is my wife, now wife. Just get her there, not some side piece. So she lived in London. We met in London, dated in London or whatever, but then I moved to Bath to play for Bath. And we decided we were going to get serious, for want of a better phrase. And she'd come to Bath for the weekend or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think what happened now. Her train was due in at sort of 9 in the morning on Saturday morning or something.
Yeah.
I was like, so I arranged her to meet with her. And I think, just to backtrack, this was kind of like a pivotal moment in our relationship. It was either going to work or not. and I'd arranged to meet her at the station in Bath at 9 o'clock, whatever, and I woke up to a dead phone.
Yeah.
Well, not charged phone. after a team social the night before.
Oh.
We had a team social the night before, and I think she'd even said, like, if you're going to go out and get drunk, that's fine. Like, I'll come later on. I was like, no. Got it covered, babe. I'll see you. I woke up my phone. Obviously, didn't see the time on my phone because it was not charged. Alarm didn't go off. Looked at the clock on the wall, and it was like 10 to 11 or something. Yeah, so it was like, I remember that blind panic of, do I get dressed? Do I put the phone on charge? Like, what do I do?
Yeah.
So I put the phone on charge. Got some signal, obviously, a load of missed calls, and managed to call her. And she was just about getting on the trip. She waited for like 2 hours. I am a catch. She was just about stepping on the train back to London, and I managed to persuade her not to get on it, and she stayed. And now we're married and I've got a kid. So
the rest is history, mate.
There you go.
I heard that you may have called her old man mate the first time you met him. Is that?
Have you spoken to her?
Mate, look, these are just stories that I've heard, you know.
You're a rat, my bro. Yeah, no.
Hey, look, I can't have you sounding as nice as you are as a bloke. Got to give you a little bit of shit.
Well, this is a nice story. He just took exception to it.
Did he?
Lauren's dad is from South East London, born and raised, like a bit of a Cockney twang to him.
Yeah.
And this is in the obviously early days of dating. I'd been round, stayed at their house, whatever, and we keep messaging me. I was messaging him about something, following it, and I signed off the message, or whatever it was about. So, oh, thanks for your help, mate, or thanks, mate.
Yeah.
As I do. I call my dad mate. I call your dad mate if I met.
Yeah.
Don't call Ken Humphrey mate. Straight on to Lauren. It's like, if he thinks we're mates, you got another fucking thing coming. And properly laid down the law with her about me calling him mate. And to this day, I'm not 100% sure whether he was taking the piss or not. But anyway, it came up. It's come up several times that you didn't call him mate. And yeah, it was quite funny because it was one of those ones where I then went round there, and every time after that, I'd be like, all right, pal, I mean, mate, I mean, sir, I mean, oh, God, what do you say? And it was like a bit of a minefield, but yeah, quite funny.
Got through it, mate, got through it. What's the future for you, pal? Obviously, depending on what's happening with coronavirus and everything else. Would you play the rest of the games if the games are played?
Well, I've basically, my contract with Sale finishes on the 30th of June.
Yeah.
My most standard rugby contracts go June to July 1st, or vice versa. 1st of July, I've got a contract starting to coach Jersey Reds.
Okay.
So retiring, I announced my retirement a few months ago, moving into coaching. So I've got a bit of a issue really with all this. I don't really know how it's going to work, obviously.
No, of course.
Sound bites and press bites are all about, we'll play the season into June and July, and you know, but I don't really know how that'll work for me because I've got a new job that starts on the 1st of July.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are hundreds of players in a similar position.
Yeah.
Across the leagues, but if it gets going before then and we can get it in, then 100%. Because obviously we were going pretty well.
Yeah, of course.
I'd like to get that squared off. If it's not to be, it's not to be, and it'll be a pretty damp squib end to things, I suppose. But
yeah.
Again, I won't be the only one in that boat, so it just is what it is. You got to take it as it comes. But in terms of the future, mate, yeah. So I'm going to be moving over to Jersey Island in the next few months before that starts, and dipping my toe into the coaching water.
Nice little trip to come over.
Absolutely, always welcome.
Thank you very much. Why now? Is it body is just ready, or opportunity good?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. So I have a year left on my contract actually.
I was about to say you've been going well as well this season.
Yeah, going really well. I think. Look, it's not something that's knee-jerk. I've been coaching alongside playing for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
Obviously to a lower level than I'm playing and stuff in the Championship, because I've got to do both. And it just comes a time where I'm as excited, if not slightly more excited, about trying to become a coach, and he's trying, like nothing's given, nothing's God-given or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
Than I am about playing. And because I've been so lucky to play as much as I have, and for as long as I have, I feel like I've accomplished a lot of what I set out to accomplish.
Yeah.
You know, it's been 5 years, so I'm not going to play for England again.
Yeah.
Like that. That's been and gone by a long time, which is fine. You deal with that. At least I got to do it, and then it's like, well, kind of what's left, you know? Like obviously, winning a couple of trophies would be good, but you can't chase things forever. The body's okay, and I feel lucky that it's okay. You know what I mean? It just kind of feels right, really. I feel like I could play another year, and I've always wanted to retire on my terms.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm retiring not from playing, but to coaching.
Yeah.
Like, it's like a different way of looking at it. I'm retiring to... I remember reading something from Sean Britz, actually, a year or two ago, where he was like, make sure you retire to something, and I do feel like I'm doing that with coaching. I'm not just calling time and playing. I'm doing it to do something else.
Yeah.
And coupled with, there's only X amount of rugby teams in the country, or in, you know, that are feasible options to become a coach at, and one came up and wanted me. Yeah. And it was, I felt like it was a good opportunity to take, so I've sort of rolled the dice, really.
And I suppose, obviously, your daughter being 3 is at a nice age where she can go over and adapt without there being too much hassle. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so we've not got the concern of schools and things yet. Stuff like that. My wife's business is sort of an online thing from home. Well, not necessarily from home, but isn't necessarily location based, so she can. That's quite flexible as well at the moment, and we're just going to go there and give it a crack, really, and hopefully it works out, and who knows. So it's just a decision that I've come to, mate, where the underlying feeling of the time is right is not been overshadowed by the last 3 or 4 months where I've been playing pretty well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I played pretty well. You know, I got a man of the match a few weeks ago from my old mate David Flatman, and everyone's like, "Oh, why are you retiring? You're getting man of the match." I was like, "Well, it's only because Flats was fucking giving it to me." But like, that didn't suddenly think, "Oh, yeah, God, what am I doing? Like, I'm still playing really well." If anything, it was just like, "Oh, that's really nice that I'm retiring whilst I'm still playing well, and I'm not just drifting into mediocrity."
Yeah,
I'm not be retiring when I'm at the top of my game, having played 300 odd games of rugby.
Yeah, not everyone gets to do that, and
so I feel really lucky and fortunate, and it's just a situation that I'm, well, as much as anyone can do in fucking coronavirus, but trying to control and manage my own way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get that, mate. It's interesting, and it's nice that you've got something to go to, because you read a lot and you see a lot about people who they finish playing, whether expectedly or unexpectedly, and don't have anything to fill that void.
Yeah, I think it's a massive issue of the game, and I've been actually really, you know, if it all comes off with this virus and stuff and everything like that, and the state of the Championship, I've been really lucky to go into a job, you know, where, and I still don't think there's enough done for people to realise and plan for retirement and salary drop and all this sort of stuff. And you know, if I ever get asked about it, that'll be my biggest thing. Is I think I'm pretty well set up. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you can be better, unless you're the top guys in the game. The guys that have got 50 caps. I think you need preparation.
Yeah.
More so than you think you do. Say melancholy note to
Oh no, look, do you know what? I like the fact I try and get into everyone I've spoken to. I try and get into their psyche a little bit, and it's not, I'm fully aware that being a rugby player isn't 100% of smiles. It's it can be quite lonely for some people, and it can be tough at times. So it's good to see that you've got something to go to, something that you've got your head set on and your heart set on, and something that you enjoy as well.
It's just everyone has decisions and dilemmas, don't they? Like, I've been looking to go to a job, but it's on Jersey Island. It's not exactly around the corners, so everything's got to change. We've got to move again. We've got to relocate and do all that stuff and figure all that out. And it's going to be a challenge, but we're really excited by it. And obviously, there's worse places in the world to be going. So we're excited by it. I'm a bit apprehensive about what the winter months there will hold, but certainly looking forward to getting there this summer and getting stuck in.
Well, look, fingers crossed. Hopefully, people stay in and we can experience the summer before it gets to the end of August, mate. Thanks for coming on, pal. All the best with everything. I will endeavour to bring my missus out, and we'll go and have a couple of sherbets. Give my love to Lauren and the baby, and that was Rob Webber on Catflap Chats. Thank you very much, mate.
Thank you, mate.